Three, two, one. All right. Welcome back, everybody. This is the Godfo Universe podcast. And correct me with the pronunciation, but today we have RYAN HAACK. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right. RYAN has been working on a new Indiegogo campaign, Bric-A-Brac #3. And correct me
hmm
if I'm wrong, but you've done two of these successfully over the past 2 years, correct?
That is right. Yep,
Man, well, let-
100%.
we'll jump right into that. Let me play the trailer for everybody. So it's just 34 seconds long. So let me play this. If you guys can't hear it, that's fine. I'm going to capture the video and sound for everybody else. All right.
When we last visited Planet Christmas, the Nutcrackers were at the height of their powers, but the tables are turning. A secret enemy has been manipulating the battle from behind the scenes, and now his plan for intergalactic domination is about to be put into effect. Our hero Garret will encounter new friends and unlikely allies who might help him defeat the planet-conquering warlord, but there's no telling if they'll make it out alive. This 25-page third issue is fully illustrated by Raphael Sam, lettered by the talented Eric Hodson, and written by myself, RYAN HAACK. Back this book and enter the fantastical yet dangerous world of Bric-A-Brac.
All right. Short and to the point. That is awesome.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So I've got to admit my ignorance. I didn't know about Bric-A-Brac until this issue. So could you catch
hmm
us up? I mean, clearly the trailer is there's a Christmas planet, which is awesome. Like that's the coolest thing ever. You mentioned in the bio you wanted to combine Star Wars with kind of like claymation Christmas movies growing up.
Yes.
But yeah, just give us the background on it if you don't mind starting from issue one. We don't need like a whole rundown, but
Sure.
just catch us up.
Yeah, so the story really again came out of the desire to like make the ultimate Christmas special. Like if you could really only watch one, what would it be like, you know? And it just like you said, it's kind of like a there's Star Wars elements, and then it's added to those really familiar Christmas specials that we always know and love and we've always enjoyed, you know, and watch every Christmas and stuff like that. But just combining the two of them makes something, you know, I think completely different, at least from what I've seen. And you know, I think it's a really special story. I think a lot of people really resonate with it. But yeah, basically, it's a story of, like you said, a Christmas planet that is under siege by the Nutcrackers, who are working for a secret enemy that is kind of beyond them. He doesn't live on Planet Christmas. He has more resources and wealth, and he's a planet conqueror. And so they're caught up in the civilians who really don't know how to fight, and they are very like technologically not at all gifted, or they have, you know, I would compare their means of technology to maybe like the BC era. You know, they have swords and shields, but that's really it. You know,
Yeah.
they make their houses out of peppermint bark, and they live, you know, in a peaceful village, but they don't know how to fight. They don't know how. Some of them don't know how to read. Like, it's just they're just people who celebrate Christmas every day. They have no idea how to fight in a war. So obviously, like, the Nutcrackers have a big edge over them. And yeah, our story starts where one small village is ransacked, and basically our main hero goes on this quest to find Father Christmas because his friends are kidnapped by the Nutcrackers for certain reasons. And then, you know, obviously his whole his whole island is attacked, so he's obviously threatened by that. And then he decides to find Father Christmas because clearly he could be potentially the person to solve all of this, because he must have all this power and all of this magical capabilities if he's able to give people Christmas presents all the time and travel around the globe so fast. So yeah, basically that's the whole story, is him going through this planet, very dangerous planet, trying to find Father Christmas, who's kind of off the grid for reasons kind of that are explained, but he's lost his powers, for lack of a better term. Like, he's lost a lot of his abilities to magical abilities. So there's just a lot of different things that are going on in this huge war. But yeah, I think that really sums up the whole story.
Man, that already sounds better than the Star Wars Christmas special.
Yeah, but I don't know. The Boba Fett though, Boba Fett originally came out of that, so I don't know.
No, that that
You can't.
that is awesome, man. Like that's a really cool concept, and I mean,
Yeah,
it clearly looks like it's for of all ages, from kids to adults.
yeah.
Correct? Okay.
Uh-huh. Correct. It's like a Star Wars thing where, it really is kind of like for all ages, but there is war going on and there's like adult concepts, but
Hmm.
it's nothing like gratuitous or anything of that nature. So, yeah.
No, that's wonderful. Because I mean, to me, I'm not going to go into a tirade here, but I get tired of, seeing some comics that look like they were for kids, like something I could get for my kid, and then you read them and they've got like tons of words in it I don't want my kid to say. and,
Right. Exactly.
yes, the so no, I like that it's. I don't want to use the word wholesome, but I will. I mean, I think that's a good word to use. I think that's
Yeah, it
great. Yeah.
is.
Um, Another thing. Well, I want to get into the history just a little bit more of the idea, but
Uh-huh.
I
Yeah.
noticed that you're using Good King Wenceslas, and like that. I don't know. It
Yes.
just looks awesome because I mean that what a great image and what a great name. Like that's always been like kind of this mythical figure in song, especially
Right.
we're American or that's more like an English tradition. But I mean, what other?
Huh.
I don't want you to spoil anything, but is there any other kind of Christmas mythology you
Yeah.
could let us in on that you plan to use?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, there's so much, again, like I said, just borrowing that like a Jack Frost, but like completely changing him and kind of making him a different kind of character. There's also like the Ghost of Christmas Past, Present, and Future we take from the Christmas Carol, but they're like updated, so they're like young kids and like they're kind of silly, and they actually, you never see the Ghosts of Christmas Past, Present, and Future together in the Christmas Carol or in any medium. At least I don't know, but like usually they work together and they have magical powers together.
Oh,
So sample pages you see is like the flying carpet
yeah. I think we lost you for a second there.
going on with them. I'm trying to think. Let's see. There's also like Jack Frost, like I said, the Nutcrackers. Like I think in mythology, in Christmas canon, if you will, like they've always been canonically known as the heroes. Like for example, in the Nutcracker, Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker, like they are protecting the young girl against the Rat King and all these different enemies. Whereas now you're kind of flipping it and showing like how they can actually be destructive and evil and have ill intentions, just the same as the Rat Kings could, So it's just, I don't know. I think changing things that are canonically like are in our Christmas culture and just like changing them a bit, making them a little bit not familiar. Because I think so many Christmas specials these days focus on Christmas, like focus on Santa Claus and the elves and how he does that whole how he goes around the world and in a day and but really if you think about it, the Christmas specials we like the most are the Rudolphs and the Jack Frost and the Frosty the Snowmans that are really they have very little to do with Santa Claus, and it's the characters that surround that mythology that are kind of like us that we relate to. So that's like the thing is the goal is like to make characters that are very like they're not Santa Claus and they don't have these amazing and crazy powers, but they're relatable in different ways. So like I just think that that's kind of our goal with this. My goal with writing this story is making those kind of characters that people can enjoy. Um, but yeah, those are the characters that I've kind of, especially Wenceslas. He really just has that song, and there's not really any explanation. I mean, I really love the name and the song. I think there's a lot of like I said, we're in like the medieval times in this planet, so it does kind of like I just felt that he would work really well, and he's kind of just say like he is a you'll get to know him a lot more in this issue, but he is a zealot, like a religious zealot sort of, and he's kind of like he's looking for someone. He's trying to find a being on Planet Christmas that could bring about you know I won't give too much away, but like I just think that he's another interesting character who I think his origins in that carol I kind of played with them, and so yeah, a lot of characters from different cultures. Like you said, English, American, um, Welsh. Like I think the Good King Wenceslas song is an old Welsh carol, and I think Wenceslas himself was an actual Welsh king. or something like that. So anyway, there's a lot of different things we celebrate at Christmas. So
No, that's what I found really fascinating about is just in the little bit that I can read on the Indiegogo campaign, it's like, man, this guy, like, you seem to have a love for these stories and these ideas, to not only know them but to know them so well that you can change them. I think that's great.
yeah, I really do. I really do enjoy them. Like I think that yeah, there's so many great Christmas stories, and they all like I think a lot of them really resonate with people because they have good messages. Like if you look back at Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, it's a great message. Like be yourself and don't care about what other people think, because eventually you'll prove them all wrong. Or the same with Frosty. Like I guess like friends come and go. Like Frosty melts away, but he's gonna come back the next year with the Christmas snow. And so like there's just all these kind of like subtle messages in these Christmas stories that I think we all love them, and like they are deep. Like they actually do have a deep meaning, and Christmas has an extremely deep meaning. So, yeah, I've always loved everything about it.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I know I'm tooting the same horn here, but I love the lack of cynicism. Like, it would have been very easy to make this like a newer, for newer audience, make it like raunchy and subversive, and I'm glad it's not that.
Right.
Yeah. But
Yeah, I think you're right. Like a lot of, like I was saying, like a lot of Christmas specials these days get into that. Like they're trying to be like tongue in cheek,
yeah.
or how do you say it? Like Santa Claus is a badass, and then there's all like elves are evil, and he has to take them out, or it's just like how many times have we seen this before? I just think at some point it just gets a little like I like there's just some good ones like Arthur Christmas was a really good one, and then the Polar Express is another contemporary one that I really, really like. But other than that, like a lot of the Christmas specials that have come out recently have just not been have been kind of like that, tongue in cheek, like looking at Santa Claus as an evil person, or what if he's a, you know, bad person, or how it goes with those, like or focuses too much on just Santa Claus, which I think he's kind of the least interesting part of Christmas if you think about it. Like so anyway, there's that.
All right. Hans, you got a question? I didn't want to just cut you out.
Yeah, so hey, I was gonna see, my biggest question, I guess, is why Christmas? And I mean that is to say, you've talked about how Christmas is important to you, but you could pick any holiday on the calendar. Uh, I mean, is it that Christmas holds a special place in your heart, or what is the original inspiration behind picking specifically Christmas to focus all of your stuff around?
Yeah, I think like going back to what I said, Christmas is an extreme time of meaning. Even if you don't celebrate Christmas itself, you can just look and say, okay, the sun, it's the darkest time of the year, like right now, until the winter solstice happens. So if you even just like solarly, just like at a base level, it's a meaningful time because once the winter solstice happens, I think tomorrow or the next day, it um it gets brighter. Like it gets brighter, and the sun starts showing more. And so there's that. So there's like, okay, so it's a time where things are transitioning, and it's going from a dark place where we have maybe 8 hours of light during the day to a time where we have 12 hours of light today, maybe even more than that. And then so that's a meaningful thing. But then even the different holidays, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, Christmas, like those are meaningful, and they all happen at the same time. People coming together, families coming together, giving presents and gifting presents, and then obviously there's religious elements too, and we can go into that too. But I think there's just an extreme out of any other time of the year. Christmas has an extreme like there's a meaning like during Christmas time. Like that's why I find a lot of my favorite stories happen during Christmas, because it's another layer added onto that meaning of it's just a time where I think people try to be their best selves. You try to. I think a lot of people. It invites the time invites exciting storytelling to me, and that might not be the same for other people, but it just always has for me. It's hard to explain, but like I said, I really enjoy when movies take place during Christmas. But for this story specifically, I think that it had to be told during Christmas because I had a very kind of specific story I wanted to tell that kind of involved just a kid, who's our main character, who's growing up, and he, just like we all do, struggles with like leaving that threshold of like childhood Christmas to like tween Christmas, where you're cynical and you're like, you realize Santa Claus isn't real in the way you thought he was, or um, it's like that transition period where you don't want to believe it. You want to still hold on to your childhood self and all that goodness and that fun, but you also realize you have to grow up and like go out into the world, and we throw him into this war, and he really has to grow up. Like, he has to learn how to fight. He's thrown into positions where he's almost killed multiple times, many, many, many times. And it's just like you have to grow up. Like, that's the thing. It's a story. It's like a coming of age story kind of, and it's obviously a tale very, very definitely as old as time. There's all these coming of age stories, but I think with this one, it's cool because it's kind of about like trying to hold on to that childhood Christmas, but also becoming an adult. Like, how do you do that? And that's kind of what our main character is grappling with, because he wants to hold on to what Planet Christmas used to be, but he realizes that this war has destroyed so much, and Planet Christmas, even after it, even when the war is done, will be completely different. It cannot be the same, because there's this whole war that happened that decimated half of it. So, it's just like moving on. Like, that's the thing, is like, how do you go from being a kid who loves Christmas and believes in Santa Claus to like, can you still hold on to what Christmas means to you? Because so many people get cynical about it. They hate it after they're a kid, or maybe they even hate it when they're a kid. So it's like, how do you hold on to that nostalgia, but like that goodness from your childhood, but also make it even better by, becoming an adult and I don't know, learning from your mistakes. So that's I wanted to tell that story, and I felt Christmas was a great setting for that. And like I said, Christmas invites exciting storytelling in my perspective. And there's, again, so much canon that I was talking about, all these things, all this wealth of fictional characters that I just wanted to take in and bring into it. And that's really where it started, That was really the origin of it.
You mean that you're actually going to have a comic book with consequences where people can't just come back from the dead every 3 issues? What are you thinking?
Yes.
You're going to create weight in a story?
Yes. Trying to.
No, man, your explanation actually moved me to inspiration. Like, that's a wonderful thing. That's a wonderful idea. It's kind of this idea from a Christmas story where at the end it talks about how Scrooge became a man who carried Christmas in his heart all year long. And you do grow up, and there's a lot of things in life you realize that, hey, this structure or this belief that I believed in, I thought it just existed. I thought someone else carried it, and you realize that, it's on me to carry it. I create this.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's so perfect that you said that. That's totally right, because you're right, because everyone, when you're celebrating Christmas as a kid, everyone is trying to cater towards you. They're giving you presents. They're taking you to meet Santa Claus. But then when you get older and it's on you to celebrate it, that's when you kind of like lose that. So that's totally true. I feel like what you just said.
Man, you're opening doors to some kind of psychological and sociological studies here. Like, I think that's great. That's a wonderful idea. That's how you know you're doing a good story.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, I'm always excited to write about it. Like, I don't feel like if I wrote like a Christmas story about like a cool Santa doing superheroic things, I feel like I wouldn't be excited. But if it's, I think something, and this is speaking to all kinds of writers or whatnot, like if it's something that you really personally believe and you want to write about, you will never get tired of it. You know what I mean? Like, you'll know when it's supposed to end, but and I know that this series will go on maybe a couple more arcs, or hopefully as long as I possibly can make it go on. But like, there's definitely an end in sight. But it's just, I feel like when you hit that thing that you really want to talk about and you want to explore, I could talk about it for days. It's just something. This story is, I love it. So.
What the name Bric-A-Brac? Where did that come from?
Yeah. So, for those of you who are Tim Burton fans, or you would probably know that is from a song from The Nightmare Before Christmas, which again is a big inspiration again to this kind of art style, especially the Christmasville section. Yeah. And if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. Like he sings when it's called Jack's Lament, the song. It's when he comes back from the Christmasville, and he goes back into Halloween Town, and he's in his study, and everyone's like wondering what he's doing up there and stuff. And he sings that word bric-a-brac in his song.
Oh, he
Jack's Lament, like I said.
does.
Yeah, because he's
Yeah.
talking about Christmas items, and I was like, that's kind of a perfect way to describe this story because it's like you're bringing in all of this different Christmas stuff and trying to meld it together into one thing that like assumes that it's all existed forever already.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like bringing all that stuff in. So that's why I thought that was a great title, and it also sounds fun to say and stuff.
It does.
And it's kind of I think it's very like recognizable. Like there's nothing else really close to it. You could call it like Santa Claus Adventures or something, but that's really not. But it is because again, it's not about Father Christmas or anything like that. It's about just the people surrounding, like the people of this planet that are in this war, this struggle.
Yeah.
So that's kind of
So,
where we are with that.
Santa Claus Adventures in Brick will be the Japanese manga ripoff of this.
Right. Exactly.
All right. All right.
So
Yeah, go ahead,
I
Hans.
have I have a question I was curious about. So I was reading. It looked like there's about a year span in between each edition,
Yes.
right? First, second, third. So, and you said you do have an in-game insight, but you're willing to go on with it as long as you
Yeah.
need to with it. So, what is this process like? If you're only able to do, one section at a time per year, how is the process behind that? And for people who don't understand because they can't tell the difference between the industrial machine that would be the big comic book companies versus an indie company, what goes into doing it, into
Yeah.
making this happen?
Well, like it costs a lot of my own money to make it happen, whether it's just getting all the artists together and, over the year, like usually over the year we make some pages in progress on the story slowly, like maybe once a page every 1 or 2 months, and then by the time December and November roll around, we have enough to like show people, and then I
Okay.
put it on the Indiegogo campaign and pray that it funds because then we can do it the next year, and that's kind of the whole process. That's what it's been so far, like just pushing and pushing to make it happen, and yeah, that's kind of the process. But as the whole story has kind of been written in my head, and I've written it out, kind of like a summary wise. Maybe 2 years ago I did that, but like this specific arc. But there's definitely plans for other arcs in the future, and they aren't necessarily going to be of the same tone. And I think our main characters are going to be older too, so it's going to jump around kind of in time, like Hellboy kind of does in that way, which I kind of like because it doesn't seem like it has any. I like that way that he does that with Hellboy. But anyway, like I would say that the process is. It takes a while because they're very expensive ventures. Like as you guys probably know, comic books are very, very expensive and trying to fund. With the second issue, I think I failed funding like how many times? Like 4 or 5 times. Because it's just I didn't know when I was supposed to. Like I think I launched it in May, then I launched it in June, then I launched it in August, then September, then finally November. I think with that one I succeeded, but the first one. I launched it in, I think, September, and then I failed that one because I got a fake pledge or something like that, and I was not going to make it anyway. I was like a day close to the deadline, and it was a fake pledge or whatever, and I think someone was just trying to do it out of goodwill, but that first campaign failed, but then I did another one, and it did succeed. So it's like, it's always been a process of trial and error and just figuring out, like, when is the right time to advertise a Christmas book too, because it's very difficult to like get people to buy something in the middle of July for Christmas, because they're just not feeling that spirit. So
You gotta get you gotta get Mariah Carey to sing about it.
yeah. So then that'll get people's attention, right?
There you go.
So
She has her own Happy Meal now, so it's like
yeah, she does actually at McDonald's. It's the Mariah Carey movie. It's really funny. They misspelled darling on it too. She puts a DAHLING, so it's darling. She does it. I guess just that's the way she wants to say it. But they,
Oh, yeah.
they're phonetically as opposed to grammatically correct. So But anyway, the I did have a. I was curious. So as you say that this series is continuing and moving forward, um, and it is set in a science fiction, arena. Um, would there be on Planet Christmas? Would there be any insight as to other holidays being introduced, or them discovering as they get older, them discovering,
Yeah,
maybe there's
yeah,
more to the world than just Christmas? Do you know? Do you understand what I'm saying?
yeah. I do. I do what you know, and I would like to explore that. But again, I don't want to be so similar to the Night Before Christmas, Nightmare Before Christmas, because I feel like that is explored a lot. So if it were a holiday, I don't know if it would be Halloween. It would probably have to be like Easter or something different. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah.
I think
I mean, it could be
that
anything.
ground has
Sure.
already been tread. But yeah, I definitely think that's possible. But I think one of my main goals too is to just really explore like we're really only getting like a part of this planet. Like it is an actual wholly realized world, and like I really want to make it so. Like I really want to make it with the next arcs and stuff like that. Maybe have one like an Indiana Jones type adventure. Whereas this is definitely more Star Wars inspired. What would happen if we have like an Indiana Jones adventure where it's not in space or anything? It's literally just them trying to find something. Or what would happen if there was like a Western? Like what does a Christmas Western look like on Planet Christmas?
Right.
So there's just so I think in the future I would like to maybe have some characters from different like holiday planets involved, but I don't think that's the focus. It's
Yeah.
I think the focus is really trying to explore like what Christmas means and like why it's special and important and like I don't know. I think that maybe there's definitely a possibility we could include other holiday characters for sure. But uh, as for like if they're going to go to a different planet that's a Halloween planet or not, I don't know. I don't think so because I just don't think this is the kind of again like that ground has already kind of been treaded before, and yeah. So I guess that's kind of my response to that.
Okay.
Oh, that's great, man. I think I mean it's definitely a passion project. I can tell just like by listening to you
Yeah.
talk, and I'm glad you have like big plans for it. I mean that's awesome. This is something that could really only be done like indie because like
100%.
yeah. But
Uh, So I do have another question. This is more on
Huh?
the business side of it. I was looking on the campaign website, and it says there are perks for individuals who would like to support or pledge to your story. So, and to what you're doing, to what you're developing here. So, what kind of perks are we talking about? What do I, as a listener, as a potential consumer of your work, what am I getting out of it?
Yeah, so basically you can get just there's a bundle that's featured. It has all three books. It'll be all three books, and you also get a Good King Wenceslas print. So if you're a newbie, that would be the good one to get because you also get digital files, so you can send it to your grandma or whoever. So there's that. That one I think is a really good deal and has been proven to be the most popular one this year and last year. And then we have single issues if you've already gotten one before, so you just need one. If you want a T-shirt, we have that kind of stuff. We have a short sleeve and long sleeve. You can donate copies of the book to the Boys and Girls Club of your choice, a chapter of your choice.
yeah,
So
that's
just
that's a
email
great
me.
perk. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we also have one where you can have a background character of your choice. So it could be a Christmas character that you just come up with off the cuff, or it could be one that a character that you've had, in the back of your mind, or you made your own comic books with, even in the background of one of the. Because again, we have a massive. I will just say this: issue 3 has the biggest battle of the entire series. It's about 12 pages. So
Wow.
there is 100% room for your characters. So just there's a perk for that. So if you're interested, there's all kinds of perks. I don't think I forgot any of them. They're digital perks again for our fellow friends who are in Europe or in a place where they cannot afford the shipping. Which the shipping I think is pretty generous. Like I think it's only I think it's maybe $10 to $15. But anyway, so yeah, that's really what's going on with the perks. But the reason why I have the create a character is because I want to have people participate and get excited about having their character in the book, because it is a fantasy book, so we can kind of have really unique looking characters in the background, and it makes sense. So yeah, those are our perks, and that's, if you want to support the book, you can do that, and you can pledge or contribute there, or you can share the book if you don't have money. Please share the book. I know Christmas is coming; it's already the 21st, but the campaign goes on. At least this first part of it goes on until the 2nd of January, and then we might extend it again just to see. I mean, I would like to hit our goal hopefully before then, but yeah, we'll extend it again if we have to, further beyond that. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on with those things.
Now, with the story, have you ever, or not specifically this story, but in general, have you ever tried proposing it to larger companies? I know, Dan, you said in the past you've gone to major companies before, like your Dark Horse or your
Image and Dark Horse.
Have you had a similar experience with that, or
I just always have had the desire. I mean, I would like that to happen eventually. Like, I would like it to be published in a way where, like my mom read me the night before Christmas, every night on Christmas Eve. I would like it for kids to be able to pick up the book at Walmart or Target or Barnes & Noble, a mom to pick it up and read it to their kids on Christmas Eve. Like, that would be so special to me, because that's exactly what I want it to be. That's exactly what I want this book to be. It doesn't have to be an animated series or a cartoon or whatnot. Like, if that's all it ever becomes, that's okay, because that's my goal. It's just to make a book that's very special to people, and then when they're an adult, they can look back at it and say, well, this was deeper than I thought it was, and look through it and be like, yeah, but if I could, I would love to get it published in a way that I could be able to, push it out and have it published to more, push it out to more people, within this next year or the year after. That would be so great, because I think the story deserves it. The art team definitely deserves it, because they are kicking butt, and I think the book just looks aesthetically. I think it looks professional,
Oh no, it definitely does. The art is fantastic.
Yeah. So I think that once it's done, definitely we'll think about doing that. I just would love it to be like a company that I can actually get the books out, not in single issues, but just as a trade paperback. Just, kind of like how you would sell a storybook or something like that, but it's obviously a lot more than that. I would love it to be able to be shared with many kids, many people. That's my whole goal.
No, I think that's a great goal, especially, I mean, people.
Yeah.
And this is a bigger, like, more meta conversation, but a lot of comic, especially the big two and some of the other ones, they kind of think of the comic to IP kind of route, where they just want to create a comic, get to sell an idea. And, like, no, the love of indie comics and self-publishing is you want to make a comic,
Right, I agree. Yeah, you're right. I think it's the idea is like, they'll go to Image Comics and then make a book that has like pretty good art, but like it's the story idea they're trying to sell, and that's okay. Like, you know what? If they want to do that, I mean, all the power to them. But I think the problem is that I think you're right. They kind of get lost in like the movie deal, so they do a first arc, and then there's so much story that could be told, yet it never gets finished. Like, I think a good example of that is probably like American Vampire, or like all these, like some of Scott Snyder's stuff that's getting put into Netflix shows now, which is totally good because I think he's so talented.
Yeah.
But I wish he could continue with those series instead of like doing movies. Like, or Brian Bendis did some stuff too. What is the one series he did? Supers or whatever. Like, there is so much more that he could have done with that series, but yet I feel like once it becomes a show or this or that, that's like their ultimate goal is. I don't know. But my goal is with this book, if it could just get to people, that would be great. That is really my only goal. If anything else happens after that, I will be so happy. But I'm just saying that my goal is just to make sure that it can be shared with as many people as possible. Because I think it brightens, like, you look at the art and it brightens your day up. It just is happy. It's like you can escape with it, but it also has a really important message about Christmas in it, and that is,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and that's what is appealing about. I mean, not only is the art technically good, but it's warm, even though it takes place on a Christmas planet and there's snow, and people are. It feels. I mean, it feels kind of like home, and kind of feels like family. It feels like gingerbread sugar. It's awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, all right, dude. I don't want to take up too much of your time, and but I appreciate you coming on. We'll
Oh, thanks for having me on. I always appreciate. Yeah, thank you, and I appreciate you sharing it on Twitter and all that. And I really, thank you so much for the support.
Yeah, man, we're clearly a small channel. We just started last week, but we will do everything in our power on every medium of social media to get the word out and back this ourselves. And look forward to what you do in the future, man. Yeah, and go ahead.
Before you get off, I was going to say, is there anything that you wanted to?
Anything else you want to talk or sling?
Anything you want to roll out? The floor is yours. So just kind of tell everybody what you got going on. In addition to what you're doing.
Really, this is the main focus right now. Like I said, I really only do one project a year, especially this year, because it's kind of been busy for me, but outside of independent comic books and hobbies and stuff like that. But I would really love to get this book funded, and it means a lot. I know we're kind of not doing great, we're like 35%, like halfway through, but you know what? I believe in Christmas miracles, and I hope that you can share it out, and I hope that people look at it and say, I think that sometimes people can be, especially during the holidays, they just don't want to buy more stuff. Or, I also think sometimes people, I don't know, you can look at artwork and you really like it, but you don't have the motivation to buy it because, just for one reason or another. But, if you could just share it, if you like the artwork and share it, if you don't have the money, but you really believe in the work, please share it, because that, at the end of the day, when it's the last day of the campaign and there's all these people sharing your work, that makes a huge difference. That gets campaigns funded, so that, all I can say is just, if you like the work, either back it or please share it. So yeah.
And where can listeners find all of this at? How can they support you, and where can they find all this stuff at?
So you can follow me on Twitter at Hack _pro. So I'll be on there, with all this stuff, with the Indiegogo campaign. But if you just want to look up the campaign itself, Bric-A-Brac #3, fantasy Christmas story on Indiegogo. Like I said, it's live until January 2nd, and it's that should take you to the link, because there's only one campaign for that. That's where you'd be able to find this.
Sounds good.
Yeah, man, I'll put a link to all of that in the description, and I'll throw it up on the screen as well. But I want you to know, first of all, thanks for coming on. Second, you're always welcome on. If this completes, if it doesn't, regardless, we'll pimp the next one as well. And whatever else you want whatever else you want to work on, you're always welcome here, and we'll share everything on all of our social media as we grow as well.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
All right. Ryan, have a wonderful Christmas, and we'll get this out.
You guys.
Yeah, we'll get this out ASAP tomorrow morning, all right?
Awesome. I'll share it. Absolutely.
Have a good night, man.
Good night.
You too, guys. See ya.